All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you what's going on with this assignment. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to do a writing. It's going to be 4 or 5 paragraphs, which sounds like a lot, but we have a lot of supports for you, and it's counted as 2 grades, both a writing grade and what's called DBQ, a document-based question. So this is how you get a 3. You need to have an introduction where you have some background to tell about the topic, and a thesis, which is like your super claim for the whole essay. Got to have quality paragraphs. They got to be full sentences, at least 3 documents on the same topic. So the documents are given to you. We're going to look at those today or in this video. And reasoning, explain how evidence fits and proves a claim. That's that high school level thinking. And then a concluding statement. So here's the video for the read out loud. It should be this right now. And here's the main question we're dealing with. Why were many nations afraid of communism? So we're dealing with fear. That's our key word here. What do we see in each of these documents that would help us answer this question? Why would countries be afraid? All right. So this is where you're going to do the writing part. So first paragraph, second, and so on. But we got to understand all the documents first, because this is like a research paper that I did the research for you, and you get to start in on the writing part and the analysis part. So all of these are going to show communist control somehow, or not communist control, why people are afraid of communism. So grab your 3 pencils if you have them. Otherwise, you can still do this. Just do some other marking, even if you don't have the 3 different colored pencils. So blue, who is doing the action? So you can see there's this guy. He's stretching over Eastern Europe here, and he's got these communist flags. And it's coming from this country, which is Soviet Russia. So your who is Stalin and Soviet Russia. Okay, Stalin and Soviet Russia, that's your who. And now you're figuring out what are they doing that's scary? What's going to scare other countries? And you can see it's this taking over neighbors part. All right, so you're going to circle that part in red or mark it. And then what nations would be afraid? Well, probably the neighbors, but actually probably everybody. Okay. I know I'm going kind of quick. Please pause so you can get caught up and you can think. Then what is this document about? What's the main point? Well, you got the who and you got the what, and that sort of is going to be your main point. Soviet Union, Stalin, and it's better to start with the country because we're dealing with nations. We're at the nation level here because the question is why were many nations afraid of communism, or why were nations afraid of communism? Soviet Union, Stalin was taking over its neighbors, or you could say countries nearby. And all I did is I took the who and I did the did what. So we figured out the who and we figured out what they did. All right, make sure you're pausing as you need it, because we're on to document B pretty quickly. It says document B, Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union, made several promises before World War II was over. All right, so what Stalin promised is over here, and what actually happened is over here. So in the conference at Yalta during World War II, he promised a government of national unity to be set up in Poland, comprising both communist and non-communist. So that's what he promised. Let's see what actually happened. Stalin arrested all the non-communist leaders of Poland. Communist-controlled Poland. All right? And over here, he promised free elections in the countries of Eastern Europe. Nations could choose their own type of government. What actually happened? The Soviet Union forced communism on Eastern Europe. So who is doing the action? Stalin is, and the Soviet Union. You wouldn't have Poland because they're having things happen to them. They're not the ones doing the action. Eastern Europe is not doing the action. Okay, now what's going on that's scary? So you got a couple different things here. You got this word arrested and this word forced. Okay, we know those, but that's kind of like the last one with the map. What makes it even more scary is that they promised something. Okay, they promised something over here. And what do we call somebody who promises something but doesn't do it? A liar. So your main idea. So if you just had this part, that doesn't really tell you anything new than the last document. They were forcing communism and they were arresting non-communist leaders. So what we have here is Soviet Union under Stalin lied about elections then forced communism. They set people up. Okay. And remember our formula, who did what? And that'll let you know for each of these documents what they did was scary and get you really good shape for writing. All right, these I'm not going to tell you what to circle, what to highlight, what to write in the main idea, but I am going to read it. Document C, on August 29, 1949, 4 years after the United States tested their first bomb, the USSR, Soviet Union, tested an atomic bomb in Russia. So this document is about the USSR, the Soviet Union, testing an atomic bomb in Russia. So this is a newspaper called The Democrat, and the headline, the major headline says Russia, which is the USSR, has atomic bomb, exclamation point. And you'll see it says U.S. learns of recent explosion. President discloses. Pentagon shows excitement, but officials mum. They're not talking about it. So these are all things happening. There's not a lot of details, it says. Details on blast in USSR not revealed. And then this says the U.S. still ahead of Russians. But the major headline is Russians have atomic bombs. So who is doing the action? And what's going on that's scary? And remember, this one you might not always have. What nations would be afraid? Remember, down here, writing who did what. Document D is a map showing communist North Korea attacking into South Korea in 1950. So this country up here is North Korea. These are just the names of major cities. But here's North Korea at the top. You can tell it's North Korea because it's the top one. And the arrows down into South Korea. So this part is communist. This part is a democracy, sort of a democracy, sort of a dictatorship supported by the United States. So you're going to figure out with blue, who is doing the action and what are they doing that's scary. And you could even put what nations would be afraid. And remember our formula, who did what. Pause the recording. All right, you should be done with the other documents. This is our very last one. And it looks scary, it looks kind of hard, but I think you'll get a lot out of it. Document E, U.S. President Harry Truman explains why he sent troops to aid South Korea. Okay, so he sends in troops, he's saying why. In my generation, this was not the first occasion when the strong had attacked the weak. Communism was acting in Korea just as Hitler, Mussolini, and the Japanese had attacked 10, 15, and 20 years earlier in World War II. I felt certain that if South Korea was allowed to fall, communist leaders would be emboldened to override nations closer to our own shores. This one, I think it's easier maybe to start with the green, what nations are afraid and why are they afraid and who are they afraid of. It might be easier actually to go backwards on this one. All right, then remember the main idea, the main point is who did what.